Good morning and welcome to Friday Live here on Nebraska Public Media. We're broadcasting this week from our studios in Lincoln. Portions of today's show are pre-recorded. I'm Genevieve Randall. Later this hour, a preview of several recitals of music for brass with Nebraska Brass and Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble. We'll meet cast from Yorkshire Playhouse's newest production, and Beatles fans will want to learn how one guest today got into the Beatles tribute band game. Plus, I'll talk with an author who relays history as well as science and human experience through a tree.
As a nature writer, I'm very aware of the problematic aspects of anthropomorphizing non-human beings, imposing human feelings and emotions and desires on non-human beings.
Thanks so much for listening here to Friday Live on Nebraska Public Media. Support for programming comes from the Lead Center for Performing Arts in Lincoln, presenting cellist Yo-Yo Ma December 4th. Yo-Yo Ma returns to Nebraska for a program featuring Bach cello suites and music for solo cello. For tickets, leadcenter.org. We are starting our show this week with thinking about home for the holidays, but instead the Yorkshire Playhouse is bringing in a detective, so it's Holmes for the holidays. They're staging the Games Afoot, or Holmes for the Holidays, December 2nd through the 7th, and I am joined this morning here by Danielle Deal and Kelly Swayze for more about this Ken Ludwig show, blending nostalgia, murder, and slapstick humor. Welcome to you both.
Good morning.
Hello. Yeah, great to have you here. I am just going to adjust your microphone, Kelly, while we're on the fly here. So the premise of this is that some cast members are getting together for a holiday party, and then it turns into a whodunit, right?
That's right. Yes. So it's really about this troupe of actors who play Sherlock Holmes on stage, and then they go home for the holidays, and a murder occurs. So, of course, the person who plays Sherlock Holmes, his name is Gillette, believes that he can solve this murder all on his own.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
So an actor pretending to be
correct
Sherlock Holmes. Love it. I can see where the comedy comes in.
Yes.
Well, Danielle, you play Martha Gillette. Tell me about your character.
I do play Martha Gillette in there. So I play Gillette's mother. She's around 80 years old and kind of doddering, and she is a lot of fun to play. She's over the top and all of those good things, and provides a lot of comic relief when she comes into the room.
And Kelly, you are Madge, tell me if I'm saying it right, Geisel?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay, Madge Geisel. What's she like?
So she is an actor or actress in her 40s. She's married to Felix Geisel, who plays kind of Gillette's partner in crime. Maybe. And she is very a woman of her own person, and doesn't have too much of the comedy, but I think does have some comedy.
Okay.
So I think Martha and Madge are both kind of the lightheartedness of the show, as well as Felix. But of course, you have to have that counterbalanced when you have a mystery.
Yes. Leaving lots of mystery here, too, this morning, so that we don't give everything away. I was thinking about how some of the TV spinoffs of Sherlock Holmes, they've been set in different time periods, modern times, olden times. What time period is the play in, or is it clear?
It's 1936 in the show, and it has an exact date on there. The show actually draws off of the real life of Gillette, the main character in there. It's not exactly his real life at all, but there really was an actor who kind of basically premiered the role of Sherlock Holmes in America, for sure, and on screen. So a lot of the ideas that we have about Sherlock Holmes, including his hat and his pipe, come from that actor himself. And so this is sort of about that actor, but not. I don't think there was actually a murder at his house at Christmas.
We hope not, anyway.
Yeah.
A little bit of theater history, then, it sounds like. It's kind of combined in with this story. Well, so this is a Tuesday through Sunday run, December 2nd through the 7th. And with folks in your cast who work other jobs, have families in some cases, I always think, where does the dedication come from for community theater? I would love to hear from the two of you. Kelly, do you want to talk about why you love being involved with the Yorkshire Playhouse?
I think it's a place, and in the show, Gillette talks about how it's just, we play. Actors get together with other actors and they have fun and they play dress up. And though it is hard work, it's also a lot of fun. So I think that's the main thing. It's a hobby. It's a second job sometimes, but when it comes down to it, it's just a lot of fun.
Yeah. And Danielle, for you?
Yeah, I think it takes a lot of passion and maybe a little bit of craziness to do it, but I think you just have to really love it. And I think that community theater really is about the love of theater, because it is people that are just showing up because they love it and they work really hard at it and do a good job. So
good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that the two of you want our listeners to know about this production here coming up?
It's a really great show. It's very funny and it's got those suspenseful moments and a little bit of holiday cheer too. So that's always great this time of year.
All right. Sounds good. A fun mix here for the holidays and a murder mystery all rolled into one. That's at the Yorkshire Playhouse in their production of The Games Afoot, or Homes for the Holidays. Always love wordplay. Shows start in less than 2 weeks. That's December 2nd through the 7th. And my guests here have been cast members Danielle Deal and Kelly Swayze. It's great to see you both again. Thanks. Have fun with the show.
Thank you.
And you can link to more about this and everything, of course, on this week's Friday Live online. Find the Friday Live page at nebraskapublicmedia.org. My next guest has written a book from the perspective of a tree. No surprise that he's also written All Is Leaf, Essays and Transformations, as well as been the editor for The Tallgrass Prairie Reader, the first nature writing anthology entirely dedicated to tallgrass environment. John Price is my guest. He's also professor of English at the University of Nebraska-Omaha, where he directs the creative nonfiction writing program. He chatted with Pat Leach on our program All About Books a couple of weeks ago about this book, Goethe's Oak, a Holocaust story. And he'll be appearing at Francie and Finch Bookshop in downtown Lincoln at 4:30 p.m. tomorrow. John, it's great to meet you.
Great to be here. Thank you so much, Genevieve.
I will encourage our Friday Live listeners to actually go find more background about that tree in the book in that November 6th episode of All About Books, which I referenced. And for listeners, you can listen from our website. That's nebraskapublicmedia.org/allaboutbooks. What led you to being a nature writer?
I was in the sciences. I wanted to become a pediatrician as an undergraduate, and I was in pre-medicine. And I took one of those pesky humanities courses that we're required to take, called Quest for Human Destiny at the University of Iowa. And I wanted to mention this too, because the professor of that course recently passed away, Jay Holstein. And that was the course in which I first read Holocaust memoirs. And the first time I encountered literature as an ethical force, meant to change us from the inside and change the world for the better. Long story short, I eventually converted over to creative writing and literature. But it really was the prairies that turned me into a nature writer. I'm sixth-generation Iowan. Never knew much about the natural history of this region, in part because, as many of your listeners will know, the prairie has largely been destroyed. Didn't grow up recognizing it or understanding it or appreciating it. But eventually I became aware of that natural history and decided that as someone who was from this region, I had a responsibility to write about that. So that's where it started from there. But this is one of the reasons I write for readers who aren't necessarily environmentalists or inside that commitment. It's still something that doesn't always come naturally to me to spend time outdoors, especially in the Midwest hot summers and the winters. It's a choice that I make and one that I'm very grateful for.
You mentioned in your interview with Pat Leach that you were working on researching Goethe, the writer, and just happened to take a tour at Buchenwald. Did you know that there was a tree at that concentration camp named Goethe's Oak before you went?
It was really kind of an accident that I ended up at the camp. I was there, as you mentioned, to research an essay on the nature writer, scientist, and poet Goethe there in Weimar, Germany, and didn't think I was going to have time to visit Buchenwald. But there was, at the last minute, a bus leaving for the camp, and I decided that it was time for me to visit a concentration camp. And of course, deeply moving, the human memorials there with the memorial rocks, the stones, as you know, in Jewish tradition, meant to honor the souls of the dead. They were covered with those stones. Alongside this was a large preserved tree stump with hundreds of those memorial stones on top of it, and a sign nearby that said Goethe's Oak. No clue about the story of this tree, but it soon became apparent to me. The camp folks there helped me with that information, became aware that it was a very important tree to the prisoners in terms of what it represented. Its association with a specific poem by Goethe, who was supposedly sat under the branches of that tree to write this love poem that they were very aware of, but also as the only piece of wild nature on the grounds, and a link to those feelings that we have in the presence of wildness.
I don't know if you're aware of the show Radiolab, which is another public media product. 2016, they produced a story that introduces this evidence of trees actually communicating in a way. So since you have a science background and now writing as well, and since your book is from the viewpoint of the tree, how is the tree communicating? And if you want to add to the science part of that, that's great. But how can it also communicate human history?
I tell you, Genevieve, I don't know if I could have written this book without being aware of that science. As a nature writer, I'm very aware of the problematic aspects of anthropomorphizing non-human beings, imposing human feelings and emotions and desires on non-human beings caused a lot of destruction in the world. But I felt in this case, the tree, because it had been at the camp and suffered along and died along with many of the prisoners there, it deserved a voice. It deserved to offer its own kind of witness. And of course, I relied a lot on my imagination that way, but that science of tree communication and interconnection was essential. Because I'm not just telling the story of the tree in the camp. I'm telling, as I would with any human being, and recognizing their beingness, the entirety of the tree's life from acorn up into its time at the camp. So its relationship with its parent tree. One of the scientific terms for these trees, Suzanne Simard, forestry professor from Canada, established this term, but mother tree, the largest and oldest tree in a particular area of forest, which through these mycorrhizal networks, through the root networks, these fungal networks, are able to share nutrients with other trees and also communicate warnings to spark innate defenses among some of the younger trees. Foresters are finding out that if you eliminate these trees, you hurt the health of all the trees around them, even if you regrow them. But in terms of human history and what they have to teach us, I think they represent a different kind of being in the world, right? Not one that's always necessarily, as we're often taught, based on competition and domination and violence, but one based on interconnection and mutual nurturing. And in some cases, selflessness, because these trees will often nurture trees of different species that are growing up because they understand in their own way that diversity in a forest means long-term health of that ecosystem. So they have a lot to teach us, and we need to be reminded of those principles. And I think all we need to do is look at the nearest tree.
What are, in general, examples of the ways that nature can comfort or heal?
We sort of know instinctively that human beings are healthier, happier animals in the presence of wildlife and wilderness and nature. People who have offices with window space. I don't know if you have one, Genevieve, but that makes a difference. Having those windows looking out on a natural landscape or a park-like environment can lead to people calling in sick less, right? Being more productive, all those things. And if you want sort of anecdotal evidence of this, all you have to do is look at the line of cars every summer outside of Yellowstone or any national park. There's clearly something there that we crave and we need And again, there's lots of science out there to support that importance, that necessity of that interconnection.
So, John, as an arts show here, my last question for you is about the beautiful artwork and the kind of visual aesthetic of this book. Can you talk about the aesthetic?
My editor at Ice Cube Press, Steve Semken, put this book together. We did want a visual component, and it started with the layout of the book. And as you know, visually, each chapter includes on the right side of the page a short paragraph of prose. Very spare. I kind of consider it prose poetry in a way, written from the perspective of the tree at different stages of its life. On the other side is a page that's meant to look like natural parchment with an image of an acorn or leaf. The book designer decided on those because she felt that resonated in some way with the emotional aspects of whatever I was describing on the right. But it's also a kind of meditative space, a reflective space. So after you read that piece of prose from the tree's perspective, you have a chance to reflect and think about what is being said there. So the cover is another story. I love the color by artist Ezra Edgerton. Accidental as well. The book designer was walking through Prairie Life bookstore in Iowa City and thinking about this book, and there was this beautiful image of a tree and its roots, which was important, hanging on the wall of the bookstore. That's really how it happened.
This makes me think of the phrase to put yourself in someone else's shoes, but in this case, you're putting yourself in someone else's roots, if you will.
I want to emphasize that this book is dedicated to the victims of the Holocaust, both at Buchenwald and elsewhere, and genocide in general. But more than 56,000 people died at Buchenwald, and I am in no way attempting to minimize that. I'm simply saying that there are non-human victims of war as well, whose stories we don't hear. This was an attempt to honor their loss as well. And you're right, I felt like the only way I could do that is to try to step into the perspective of the tree as best I could using historical and scientific research in my own imagination to create the kind of compassion I felt was necessary to really connect with this being, which shared in the suffering of those who died at the camp.
John T. Price, he is the author of Goethe's Oak, a Holocaust story, and his event is coming up at Francie and Finch Bookshop in Lincoln. That is tomorrow, Saturday, November 22nd at 4:30 p.m. John, what a beautiful work. Thank you so much for being part of our show this week.
Thank you so much, Genevieve. I really appreciate it.
And you can link to more information about this event and everything this week on Friday Live by going to nebraskapublicmedia.org/Friday Live.
I saw a tree by the riverside one day as I walked along, straight as an arrow and pointing to the sky and growing tall and strong.
Stay with Friday Live. There's poetry yet to come, a chat with a musician who has had to learn to play left-handed guitar for a very specific reason. And there's a show in Omaha that has a little something for everyone. Fiction author Mariana Enriquez admits to having a strong attraction to all things Gothic. Her world tour of graveyards led to a collection of personal essays about what she discovered. Former UNL English professor Steve Bueller thought her book nicely balanced her interest in the gloomy Gothic with a serious look at the history of each graveyard.
She's much more interested, I think, in what cemeteries can tell us about the communities that both constructed them and also pretty regularly moved them. An idea that she likes exploring a lot, the idea that even cemeteries are transient, just like we are.
Hear a full review of Somebody is Walking on Your Grave, My Cemetery Journeys by Mariana Enriquez. You can pay your respects online at nebraskapublicmedia.org/allaboutbooks. Support for programming comes from Hastings College. For students navigating the college search, Hastings offers a place where every student is known and essential. At Hastings College, your place matters. Information at hastings.edu. Support for programming also comes from Abend Music, presenting Lincoln's annual Community Sing, Handel's Messiah, led by First Plymouth's Schola Cantorum. This participatory event is made up of hundreds of singers from the community. The performance invites everyone to join together and sing their hallelujahs. Sunday, November 30th at 4 p.m. Central in Lincoln's historic First Plymouth Church. Tickets are not required. Live stream available at abendmusic.org.
This is Friday Live on Nebraska Public Media.
Hello. It's an honor to serve as Nebraska Public Media's voice for the works of Ted Kooser, Pulitzer Prize winner, past United States Poet Laureate, and still a prolific weaver of words. I'm Stephen Buehler. Ted's perhaps most famous poem, So This Is Nebraska. The gravel road rides with a slow gallop over the fields, the telephone lines streaming behind, its billow of dust full of the sparks of red-winged blackbirds. On either side, those dear old ladies, the loosening barns, their little windows dulled by cataracts of hay and cobwebs, hide broken tractors under their skirts. So this is Nebraska. A Sunday afternoon, July, driving along with your hand out squeezing the air, a meadowlark waiting on every post. Behind a shelter belt of cedars, top deep in hollyhocks, pollen and beads, a pickup kicks its fenders off and settles back to read the clouds. You feel like that. You feel like letting your tires go flat, like letting the mice build a nest in your muffler, like being no more than a truck in the weeds, clucking with chickens or sticky with honey, or holding a skinny old man in your lap while he watches the road, waiting for someone to wave to. You feel like waving. You feel like stopping the car and dancing around on the road. You wave instead and leave your hand out gliding, lark-like, over the wheat, over the houses. So This Is Nebraska appears in Sure Signs, one of Ted's breakthrough collections. And here is my musical setting of the poem. I cannot say with great confidence that Ted approves of this version, but I can say that he tolerates it. The gravel road rides with a slow gallop over the fields. The telephone lines streaming behind its billow of dust, full of the sparks of red-winged blackbirds. On either side, those dear old ladies, the loosening barns, their little windows dulled by cataracts of hay and cobwebs, high broken tractors under their skirts. So this is Nebraska, a Sunday afternoon, July, driving along with your hand out, squeezing the air, a meadowlark waiting on every post. Behind the shelter belt of cedars, top deep in hollyhocks, pollen and bees, a pickup kicks its fenders off and settles back to read the clouds. You feel like that. You feel like letting your tires go flat, like letting the mice build a nest in your muffler, like being no more than a truck in the weeds, cooking with chickens, or sticky with honey, or holding a skinny old man in your lap while he watches the road, waiting for someone to wave to. You feel like waving. You feel like stopping the car, dancing around on the road. You wave instead and leave your hand out gliding, lock like over the wheat, over the houses. So this is Nebraska, a Sunday afternoon of July, gliding along with your hand out, squeezing the air, a meadowlark waiting on every post. So this is Nebraska. So this is Nebraska. So this is Nebraska.
Stephen Bueller is Aaron Douglas Emeritus Professor of English at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln, where Ted Kuzer taught creative writing for decades. I'm Dave Hughes.
November 24th at 7 p.m., my next guest here on the show will join his bandmates to play a sold-out show, as of right now, at the Merriman Performing Arts Center in Kearney. The website does say there is a waiting list, so if you want to hold out for tickets, there is that. Artie Saraf is on stage as Paul McCartney in the Fab Four. Artie, it is great to meet you.
Hey, you too, Genevieve. Thank you very much for having me.
Give me a little history here of the group that you're in, what the performance and touring season is for you guys, and when you joined this group.
Well, I'm actually one of the founding fathers. I'm one of the old parts, so to speak. We basically put the band together almost 30 years ago, believe it or not, here in Los Angeles. We met at a Beatle convention, various members. Through other friends, we got together and said, hey, let's put a band together, a Beatle band. And we kind of thought, well, ultimate Beatle band, okay. I was playing right-handed all my life until then. And I said, well, Paul McCartney's left-handed, so I better buy a left-handed bass guitar, teach myself how to play left-handed, and do it right, or do it left. But so that's what happened, and we've been going strong ever since.
How long did it take you to do that, to switch from right-handed to left-handed?
I usually tell people it was about a good 6 months. Every day, playing a little bit every day, one song every day.
That would make my brain do a little twist if I had to do that, I think.
It messes me up because here at home I have a music room, and most of my guitars here are right-handed. So last night I was playing actually some stuff, and it's one of these things. You have to kind of train your brain to react correctly.
For radio listeners, that was the patting the head and rubbing the stomach at the same time.
Exactly.
Artie, it's interesting to me. We've got these biopics out with, you know, famous singers like Timothy Chalamet as Bob Dylan, Jeremy Allen White as Bruce Springsteen. A few years ago, Jamie Foxx as Ray Charles. These are actors who are kind of getting in on this game that you've been in here for decades, doing the actual singing like these stars themselves. And you yourself have won contests in numerous sound-alike contests. How do you do it? What's the key to getting that exact sound?
The key is me. Oh, that key. What the key is, Well, you have to be a Beatle fan first and foremost. Obviously, we all grew up that way. What the Fab Four is known for is detail. The devil's in the details. We try to replicate every nuance of every vocal, every guitar lick, every drum fill. We try to do the records justice. The records to us is our Bible musically. That's what we try to do. Anyone straying away from that, we're always telling each other, hey, you missed that, and you didn't hit that. I think all these biopics, I think it's great that people are doing that. And we're not going to be in a biopic, obviously, because of what we do. But we have worked with the Beatles, actually. We did the Rock Band video game motion capture. So all the movements in the Rock Band game, we did that about over 15 years ago, 2008, 2009. And we're pretty proud of that. A couple of the guys actually did some work on the Love Show in Vegas, also doing some silhouette work for the Shadows for one of the songs. And we also were working with Robert Zemeckis on a Yellow Submarine 3D project, which didn't happen, unfortunately, but it got kind of canned by Disney because of some other issues financially. But we've worked with them, and we've actually been able to hang out with like Danny Harrison and Olivia, and we know their people quite well.
That is amazing. What do you hear from people then who, of course, are that intimate with the sound? What's their reaction to kind of seeing the personification of the Beatles?
I think they enjoy what we do. I think in some ways, in a lot of ways, we're actors, we're cosmetologists on our own. We do the makeup, we do our outfits. So we're tailors, we're actors, we're musicians. We're choreographers in some ways because we study what they did as much as we can, audio-wise and video-wise. And it's a constant work. You're learning something every day, every show. Every show you're learning something.
How do you discover as band members which Beatle you're going to be? Like, how did you know that Paul McCartney was the guy for you?
I think just growing up, I used to listen to my mom got me an 8-track of the Beatles at the Hollywood Bowl. That's how far back I go. So that was my awakening, I guess you can say. I listened to that thing. It's still somewhere at my mom's garage or something. Vocally, it seemed to gravitate to me for Paul. And I was a big Kiss fan, too. Paul Stanley was another Paul that I was listening to and singing live. At that time, it just became an obvious choice vocally for me. Then, a little bit of makeup here and there. And, you begin to learn how to do the makeup. And you become that person on stage for 2 hours. And you take people on a little trip for 2 hours and let them forget about their daily whatever and just go rock and roll out.
So when people see you on stage in Carney, what are the songs that you'll be particularly featured in as Paul McCartney?
Oh, boy. Well, there's The Night Before. There's Hey Jude. I don't want to give up way too much, to be honest with you. I mean, let's just put it this way. We're doing the Beatles hits, and you're not going to be disappointed. Not going to be disappointed. And by the way, if you don't mind me plugging, it's the holiday season. And if people go to thefab4.com, they could check out our Christmas CD. We did it over 20 years ago. It's called Hark. And it's traditional Christmas songs done in a Beatles style. And it's going to blow your mind. It's been on different compilations with Time Magazine, like CD compilations. Little Steven of Bruce Springsteen's band features it on his show. A lot of our musician friends know about it and love it. So
amazing.
I wanted to plug that. We do everything live, by the way. Everything on stage is done live by the 4 guys on stage. So we don't use any kind of trickery. And like a lot of these days, people are miming and lip syncing. No. That's why I sound like this.
Well, you're going to sound great in that space, too. The Merryman is a beautiful space, so I'm excited for you guys to play there. I've been talking here with Artie Saraf. He is Paul McCartney with the group The Fab Four, and that show is at the Merryman Performing Arts Center in Kearney coming up this Monday. And as always, we've got links to more information on our webpage. Artie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much. We'll see you then, love. Okay. Yeah.
I love the Paul McCartney. That's great. Thank you. I myself am a huge Beatles fan, so I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime.
Conversations here that connect Nebraskans. This is Nebraska Public Media. Still ahead here on Friday Live, every Christmas story ever told and then some is being staged in Omaha. Plus, Nebraska Brass performs their Christmas show in 4 Nebraska communities. There's more to explore in the Friday Live Extra. This week, a gallery in Hastings hosts a juried show of work by high school students.
A lot of pieces you can spend a lot of time looking and seeing, even though they're in high school, they have some very mature and deep issues that they are addressing in their work.
Hear KJ Tedder's conversation with Jerome Dubas of Hastings College this week. Find the Extra wherever you get your podcasts or listen online on our website at nebraskapublicmedia.org. A quick note here that there will be another Friday Live Extra next week, but not a show. We're off for the Thanksgiving holiday. Back with a fresh new show on December 5th, broadcasting from the Mill in downtown Lincoln. Support for programming comes from League One Volleyball, announcing all ticketing options for the 2026 Love Nebraska season, which are now available. Fans can see professional athletes like Jordan Larson and Lexi Rodriguez in action this season. Learn more by visiting lovneb.com/tickets. Support for programming also comes from The Ross. Opening tonight is Timestamp, a documentary of a year in rural Ukrainian community where teachers try to keep schools open to recreate the children's normal pre-war life. Continuing is the moral thriller, It Was Just an Accident, theross.org. Instead of the usual around the holidays, what if there was a theatrical one-stop shop? That's kind of the jumping off point for every Christmas story ever told, and then some more. It's a work by Michael Carlton, James Fitzgerald, and John K. Alvarez, and it is being staged at Blue Barn in Omaha. Directed by my next guest here on Friday Live, Ablin Roblin. Welcome to Friday Live.
Thank you so much for having me.
Shows, I should say, November 20th through December 20th, a nice, easy set of dates to remember. Part of Blue Barn's theme this season of Belong. What are the ways that this show fits the Belong theme?
You have 3 actors who are basically embarking on this journey to re-embody every single Christmas story ever told. They're including everybody, so there's not one person that's going to miss a holiday experience with this, which is fantastic. And it's a lot of fun. They're having a blast doing it. We're having a blast watching them do it. It's going to just be a great way to enjoy yourself the holidays and connect.
I understand that not only are many holiday season shows included here, but that it encompasses a wide time span as well, with seasonal icons from ancient times to pop culture references, which I pulled from the description here.
We're going all over the place, and then we're even dipping into the audience. So there's going to be a little bit of audience participation in this as well. Who knows? Somebody may be pulled on stage. We'll see. We're covering everything. We're not leaving any stone unturned.
Even Die Hard, I saw.
Yeah, we got a little tinge of Die Hard in there. Yeah, we have 2 actors that were in Die Hard before that are in this production. So yeah.
Are you willing to weigh in on the definitive if Die Hard is a Christmas movie?
I wholeheartedly believe it's a Christmas movie. I do. Yeah. I do. But I can find Christmas in almost anything. I just love it.
Classically, like in Shakespeare, people talk about a play within a play. What the heck do you call this? This seems like more than a play within a play.
The heart of this really is you watch these 3 actors. They're fantastic actors, Teresa Sindelar, Jonathan Purcell, and Josh Payton. And they're really having fun with each other. It's very playful in its nature. And I think you're just sort of waiting and watching to see what's going to happen next. And I think that's part of the beauty with this, to watch these 3 do that.
It's suggested, Ablin, that the staging is pretty minimal as far as, your set or whatever. How have you guys chosen to stage this? What does it look like on stage?
We have some movable pieces upstage. We've got some beautiful scenery, and we've got doors and windows. So all good comedies got a lot of swinging doors, especially this kind of comedy. So the set is really conducive to that. It's a lot of fun. It's very facile. So it suits our purpose as well. It really does.
You yourself have been involved in a number of productions there in Omaha. What are your thoughts about finding some laughter, laughing at the chaos in this show? How can this kind of thing help us get us through the season here?
Omaha's got a rich, diverse theater scene here, which is fantastic. And there's a little bit of something for everybody. And I think the Blue Barn offers the ability for people to have just a good laugh during the holidays. And I think more importantly, an opportunity to connect. And any chance we can, I think we should take it, because I think audience participation and inclusion, it really does. It's a bright spot in your day when you can do that.
There is a performance with American Sign Language coming up, by the way, for listeners. That's on Thursday, December 11th. There's no performance, of course, on November 27th for Thanksgiving reasons, obviously. Otherwise, those shows are Thursday through Sunday through December 20th, as people are listening right now. My guest here is Ablin Roblin. Thank you so much for talking with me about every Christmas story ever told and then some.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a delight to talk to you today.
And you can find more information about this by linking through the Friday Live page. That's at nebraskapublicmedia.org. With trusted media for curious minds, this is Nebraska Public Media. I'm Genevieve Randall. Next, we've got two brass ensembles who are playing their way towards the holiday season. Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble presents High Five, music for five trumpets, on Sunday, November 30th at the Unitarian Church in Lincoln. Nebraska Brass presents a Nebraska Brass Christmas on December 4th in Nebraska City, the 5th in Omaha, the 7th in Lincoln, and the 15th, if you can remember that, clear halfway through December, on the Grand Island Concert Series. Barb Schmidt is joining me this morning. She is in the Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble, and Dean Heist, who is in both ensembles, actually. Great to have you both here.
Thank you. Good morning.
To be here.
So let's start with High Five. How do you find repertoire for five trumpets?
Well, we have quite a bit of variety in our library, and when we go out to the schools and do our educational concerts, that's five of us, so we're well versed in that. We also have some local people who help us out, including my husband Nolan has written some pieces for us. One of them's on the concert that's coming up.
Very nice. What's Nolan's piece like?
Well, it's called Flourish for Five Trumpets, and it's what you would expect a flourish to be.
A very good piece for trumpet, I imagine. Well, Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble, we've got, let's see, Debbie Buffard, Louis Eckhart, yes?
Yes.
LJ McCormick, and the two of you. So just to shout out our members there. How do the two of you each choose trumpet as an instrument? I may have asked you this before, but maybe I forgot.
For me, it's youngest child syndrome. My siblings picked other instruments, and my mom always wanted a trumpet player, so there I was, but it was a good choice for me.
How about for you, Dean?
Mine was a mistake. My best friend in fifth grade and I were headed to school and talking about what instruments we were going to choose, and we were talking about the clarinet. And, we got to school and clarinet, cornet, we got confused, so we both ended up playing the trumpet because we didn't know the difference between a clarinet and a cornet.
You are not the first person I've heard this story from. I heard about a musician who wanted to play the bassoon and ended up with the tuba. So, yeah, very different. Somehow the woodwinds are getting confused with the brass. I don't know how. Well, that concert, Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble, we've got music by Tartini, Goranson, and more. So, Dean, how about Nebraska Brass? What holiday favorites are on this year's tour?
Well, ours is mostly a Christmas concert, and the trumpet ensemble is not. It's a variety of music, and we snuck in the end of November 30th, so it's not really a holiday concert. But Nebraska Brass does an annual series of Christmas concerts, and boy, just lots of familiar things. Joy to the World, a wassail song, God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen, Good King Wenceslas, Christmas Time is Here, Jingle Bells, all recognizable. The songs are recognizable. We really enjoy finding unique arrangements of them, so not all of them are things that are traditional in style.
Are some of the arrangements your own or by other local folks, such as with Nolan Schmidt's piece for the trumpet ensemble?
Yeah, one piece, Christmas Time is Here from the Charlie Brown series, or Christmas, what is it? Christmas Special. Thank you.
Yes, the Christmas
yeah,
special,
Jay Prawley arranged that for us years ago when he was playing trombone with us, and that's been a favorite. And we seem to do that each year.
All right. Shout out to Jay Parali this morning. Has either ensemble, some ensembles have members, they found the ensemble, they stay with the ensemble the whole time. Other ensembles will change up personnel. How is that for either one of these two groups?
Trumpet ensemble, we've had some core members that have been with it from the start, Debbie, Dean, and me. That was Debbie Buffard. And then it's varied through the years depending on who's available. But this core 5 on this concert, we've played a lot together in the last several years.
Okay. How about for Nebraska Brass?
Nebraska Brass, I think we're in our 38th year maybe, and I'm the only surviving original member. Although some of the others have been here for more than 30 years. Mark Mendel, our trombone player, Brad Obank, the other trumpet player, and Rick Ricker, our horn player, have all been in the group for more than 30 years. And Alex Saratowski, who's playing tuba with us, has played on and off with us for, last 8 or 9 years. So we're pretty used to each other.
So you two are very busy coming up here with all kinds of concerts, Dean especially with this tour with Nebraska Brass. Do you get a little rest after these shows and tours, or does it just get busier?
For me, I'm busy at my office, managing half a dozen nonprofits and keeping, more than a dozen part-time staff members in line. And some of that takes a little bit of a back seat during the busy season like this. So after I get done playing, I actually spend even more time at work. So
wow.
But I enjoy it. I'm not complaining.
This is why the pets are kept at the office. Is that why?
Yeah. They'd be abandoned at home.
So you get to see them. Barb, do you have more gigs coming up this Christmas season?
I guess I don't this Christmas season. My youngest child was born on Christmas Eve, and so that stopped my playing Christmas Eve gigs. But after that, there are things coming up. I was actually looking at my calendar, even for trumpet ensemble. We've got something in February. Well, in December, we're playing at Gateway Vista, so I guess that counts as a Christmas outing. And then we've got a concert in Grand Island in February, and another one in Geneva in March, and some educational outreach. So there's plenty going on. I play a lot of churches too, and so there's always good music happening throughout the year there.
Lots of things to keep your eyes peeled for across the state here. I've been talking with Barb Schmidt and Dean Heist. Both of them play trumpet in the Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble. Dean is also in Nebraska Brass, and we will have links to more about the Nebraska Trumpet Ensemble's upcoming November 30th concert in Lincoln, as well as that tour of 4 different communities with a Nebraska Brass Christmas. That, of course, is on the Friday Live page at nebraskapublicmedia.org. Dean and Barb, thank you. What a joy to have you here this morning.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, and happy holidays to you both.
Thank you. To you too.
An annual favorite comes back to the concert hall this weekend in Omaha. KVNO's Gabrielle Escalera has the story.
For more than half a century, one Omaha organization has been breaking down barriers to classical music. Voices of Omaha offers to the community a free holiday tradition. Every holiday season, hundreds gather at the Holland Performing Arts Center for a performance of Handel's Messiah. Justin Payne, artistic director of Voices of Omaha, explains the organization's funding vision.
They gather once a year to do Handel's Messiah, but they do it for free for the Omaha community because, as you all know, classical music has not always been accessible. What the Voices of Omaha has done is they have taken all of the limitations off of it and has offered this Handel's Messiah as a free gift to the Omaha community for the holiday season, so that anybody who has never been to a symphony, who has never heard an orchestra live, who's never heard soloists live, can actually come and enjoy.
The organization's longevity is remarkable. and so it's the dedication of its members. Amongst the choir stands Sharon Strobe, one of the original founding members, is still singing after 5 decades. It's this kind of commitment that has sustained the tradition through changing times.
It's just by the grace of God that I am able to sing it. Because I'm a woman of faith, the message is new every time I do it. I'm so pleased to be able to give that message to the audiences that we have had.
For Payne himself, the growth of Omaha arts scene represents something deeply personal. A born and raised Omahan who earned his bachelor's degree from UNO before pursuing a master's at Michigan State, Payne returned home to teach and build a life. He joined Voices of Omaha as a tenor soloist in 2017 and became artistic director in 2023. But his path to classical music wasn't straightforward.
As a black man, when I first got into college, I didn't know that you could major in music. That wasn't a thing that I knew coming from my context. I knew I loved music. I was a gospel musician at church as a young man. That was what fed my musical being then, but I had no idea that there was a world out there that included this.
Payne now serves as an instructor of voice at UNO's School of Music, placing his own students into the growing arts environment he once discovered. He emphasizes that Messiah isn't just for classical music aficionados. Audiences are often surprised by what they already know.
There are going to be moments throughout the performance that they're going to hear so many familiar songs and pieces that they may have heard on like a movie or a commercial, like when the orchestra starts playing ba 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 da, and they light up. Oh, I know that. And it's like, yeah, you do know that.
For Payne, Omaha's artistic growth represents more than institutional expansion. It is about opening doors. He has worked with nearly every major arts organization in the city since returning in 2018, and he sees the transformation firsthand.
I think the growth has been absolutely outstanding. And to be quite honest, I am proof of that growth. I get to now teach and put my own students in, to this culture as it continues to grow and into this community. It's a very loving and accepting community, and it's open and it's free.
This year's performance takes place this Sunday at 3 p.m. at the Holland Performing Arts Center. No tickets required, no expectations. Just an invitation to experience something extraordinary. For Friday Live, I am Gabriel Escalera.
I'm Genevieve Randall. Since we have a little bit of time left here on Friday Live before we hear Nebraska concerts, a few weeks ago, we sampled just a segment from a new release by Ingrid Griffin. She grew up in Nebraska, currently working out of California. Her new release is called Cowgirl Up. Let's make time to hear the whole thing here this morning, here on Friday Live.
Staring at him across the neon lights, wishing you could catch his hazel eye, as if you're not the diamond of this small town dive. What's the and empty bars. Someday they're gonna know your story all by heart. Just one bullseye, darling, that's all it takes. I know you feel it when you step onto that stage. Cowgirl up, you got nothing to lose. Who says you have to wait for it to come to you? Cowgirl up, we'll make it your turn. All it takes is 8 seconds and a little bit of nerve. Cowgirl up, you got nothing to lose. Who says you have to let them tell you what to do? Cowgirl up, we'll make it your turn. All it takes is 8 seconds and a little bit of nerve. Cowgirl up, we'll make it your turn. All it takes is 8 seconds and a little bit of nerve.
The most recent release from Nebraska native Ingrid Griffin. That's a song titled Cowgirl Up. Coming up this morning here on Nebraska Public Media, music from Nebraska's stages on Nebraska Concerts, hosted by Laura Black. And this afternoon, Penelope Morrow is in with Classics by Request. Be sure to visit the Nebraska Public Media website for podcasts of our show at nebraskapublicmedia.org or find the Nebraska Public Media channel on YouTube. You can also subscribe to your Friday Live podcast using your favorite podcast service. Portions of Friday Live are pre-recorded. Friday Live is not possible without collaboration of Andy Herman, Phoenix Carroll, Kate Leader-Johnson, student workers KJ Tedder and Cole McEwen, KVNO's Gabrielle Escalera, and associate producer Dave Hughes. I'm Genevieve Randall. Support for programming on Nebraska Public Media comes from St. Paul United Methodist Church, based in the heart of downtown Lincoln. Worship services take place on Sundays at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. in person or online. All are loved and welcome here. Learn more at stpaulumc.org. Everything we do at Nebraska Public Media is possible only with members who donate. This podcast version of our weekly radio show Friday Live, podcasts of our television show Backyard Farmer, and so much more, all of it is thanks to donors, underwriters, and other private support. You can support Nebraska Public Media online at nebraskapublicmedia.org.